Welcome to the D-Spot podcast. Dr. Dana McNeil is a licensed marriage and family therapist who specializes in working with couples using the Gottman method. Her evidence-based practice provides support for the wide range of relationship issues that modern couples face. By using her open, affirming, and outside-of-the-box thinking, Dr. Dana is able to approach her work with couples by bringing both insights and tools that reflect the realities of today's complicated relationships. Dr. Dana features guests on her podcast that include a unique array of celebrities, CEOs, influencers, and everyday folks who are all working on navigating new conversations about how society views what goes into a successful relationship. And now, here's your host, Dr. Dana McNeil.
Hello, and welcome to the D-Spot podcast. I'm Dr. Dana McNeil, and I'm your host for a podcast that's all about relationships and the people in them. Our goal in this show is to change the conversation about going to couples therapy and explore what defines a healthy relationship. Today, I am excited to be in conversation with Ari Lerner. Ari is the son of one of my best employees. You know, your mom is amazing and I would be lost without her, and she has nothing but wonderful things to say about you. So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you make mom so proud.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me. And I'm incredibly proud of my mom as well, you know, joining into your office and making such an impact. It puts a smile on my face. But to introduce myself, my name's Ari Lerner. I work in the television and film industry, mostly on reality TV shows. I've worked on shows like Teen Mom, 90 Day Fiance, The Ultimatum. So I guess I've seen some things behind the camera. And I've watched a lot of reality television too, albeit I haven't watched the shows that I've worked on because I lived them. I was there.
Okay.
That would be excessive.
Don't you ever go in and be like, I did that shot. Oh my God, I set that up so well. Look at the lighting. They look fabulous.
I'm sure my girlfriend would have stories to tell you about all of my annoying little interjections while we're watching television. But for the most part, yeah, you know, it's what I do for a living. And there's a lot of other people that do the same thing for a living too. You know, when you're watching a TV show, a lot of the times it's easy to forget that there's a whole team of producers and there's a camera team, not just one guy, but a team of people. And there's a sound team. And then there's a bunch of PAs running and getting coffee for everybody. You know, it's a zoo. It's a whole city.
It is a zoo. I want to talk about that zoo though, because we're all obsessed. Well, most of us as a culture with this idea of a reality show celebrity and what their relationships are really look like, right? I mean, I'm a relationship therapist. I have some clients that are reality show guests, and I think that we want to talk today about what's your perspective having worked with this, and how real is reality TV, and what are the couples really like? I want some dirt. I want some tea. I want to hear what do you want to tell us about that world?
Sure. Well, in an effort to not blacklist myself from the industry.
Don't give me names.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just talk to me about so for instance, I know from my own clients, these are really long days. How long are you taping a show for?
From the camera side of things,
yeah,
that's all I can speak to. But from the camera side of things, they're 12-hour days for the most part. And that is not including what they have to do for work. You know, for a lot of these people, they're just regular everyday people. They don't have, you know, Kardashian money or anything like that, Jenner money. So they're still working. They're filming with us 12 hours a day, but then when they're not with us, they still have jobs. They still have families. They still have lives to live. So while for 3 months, while someone might be on a show, it's all about the show, they still have other things going on. And I guess to answer your question from what it's like from behind the camera perspective, is our role is meant to be very non-interactive. You know, if you've ever watched The Truman Show, he's not supposed to know that we're there. And if we've done our job correctly, we don't interact with them at all.
So, but I mean, if they're moving and like moving around the room, are you like backing up and trying to stay out of the way? Or are you very,
Right.
I can only speak to my own experience. Well, I had clients and I'm going to be on a reality show in the next few months, which is interesting. And the camera was so freaking close to my face. I could hear like the stomach gurgling of the camera operator. Is that normal, or is that just because I had a small office? Like,
No, I mean, that's totally normal. And it's really difficult when you're in the space, when you're there while something's being filmed, whether it's a TV show or a movie, it's really difficult to understand what that's going to end up looking like, because you're not behind the camera. You don't see what it's looking like. You're not looking at the monitor with the producers. So it's a little jarring, but I think it's fair to say that most editors, most producers will do good and do justice by the average person. Now, all that being said, there will be some moments where, yeah, maybe people might get taken advantage of me, you know. And in particular, what I'm thinking of is, you know, let's say I'm asked to go out and shoot a bunch of B-roll, which would be, you know, just footage of a city. They you know, they're going to come down to San Diego to film a couple here. They want to look at the city. They want to see what the city looks like. They ask me and a camera operator to go shoot B-roll. So we'll go out and do that. But something that they might ask in addition to that is, oh, well, we want to see only a specific group of people out in San Diego. We want to only see gay and lesbian couples go to Hillcrest. We want to only see, or let's say we're doing a piece on obesity or something like that in America. We want to only see people who are overweight. We want to only see that. Don't film anything else. Just film this, because that's only what we want. Right. So there can be some misleading things like that. But for the most part, I guess to circle back all the way to how close to reality is reality television. It's a spectrum, right? Some shows that you watch are very detached from reality, very far from what is actually happening, but some are a lot closer than you might think. For instance, you know, for a show like The Ultimatum, our policy, we're going in and filming with these couples every day, 6 days a week for 3 months.
wow.
In a specially designed apartment, you know, a specially designed luxury apartment for them. And we're going to be in close proximity with them all the time. So yeah, we're going to have moments where we step into their apartment and they say, hey, how's it going, Ari? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's my job to say, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And remain, you know, a very nice, comfortable relationship, but it's surface level. It can't go any past that.
I would imagine develop a relationship with them, but you're almost like a therapist. You can't have a connection to them because it breaks your neutrality.
It breaks the neutrality, and it definitely doesn't help anybody if you're trying to capture a moment of reality and a very serious moment where someone's making a profound decision on their relationship. And there's Ari over there eating his bagel with locks on it. You know, it doesn't exactly mesh well. So the general policy on any show like this would be very non-interactive. But that said, it's, you know, if they see you, you know, go into your car at the end of the day, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. How have you been? Well, and they start chatting you up or asking you a bunch of questions. You have to remain neutral. You have to disengage.
So is a producer always there with you too? Is there like a camera person and a producer, and who else would be there?
Right. So typically on a crew like this, or on a show, let's you know, a Love is Blind, Ultimatum, big show like that, you'd have roughly around 5 or 6 camera teams.
Wow.
Each camera team, you'd probably have 2 camera operators, a camera assistant, that would be me, a producer, associate producer, a field producer. So these are 3 people deciding on story elements. They might, if they're talking, you know, about their relationship, and they start mentioning the cameras, that the fact that the cameras are there and how that's affecting it, they don't want that in the show.
Okay.
So they'll have to stop the couple for a moment. Excuse me, could you not talk about the presence of the show? That's very meta, right?
Okay.
Little things like that they might be around to kind of redirect them on their conversation on. You'll have a sound guy, and you'll also have a PA team. So that's 2 or 3 PAs. So, and then multiply that by 5 or 6.
So do they just forget that you're there at some point? Because I would be like not wanting to perform for the 5 people that were in the room. I mean, at some point, I imagine if you're hanging out with them 13 hours a day, 6 days a week, they forget you're there at some point.
I would imagine the same. It's difficult for myself to put myself in their shoes because from my perspective, that's just not how it is. But I could
Okay.
totally imagine them forgetting it, that we exist. Totally. That would be very possible.
Well, because I mean, how else? You're my amateur therapist with me right now. How else would you explain? There's some real personal stuff that's going down, and things that if a lot of us, I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us, if I knew a camera was recording an incident and I didn't have alcohol in my system, like, how do you assume that they're willing to do that in front of other people if they know that you're there?
So you hit the nail on the head.
The alcohol part?
Alcohol is, and I'm sure if you've watched any reality TV show, they're drinking a lot of the time. And that goes just about for any reality show I can think of that I've watched recently. They're always got something in their hand. And
well, their eyes are all, I mean, I'm a therapist, but you don't have to be like a psychic. Like they're stumbling, their words
totally
are slurring, they suddenly need a lot of snacks.
Not even looking at who they're talking to. They're like over here. Yeah. So that's sure, I'm certain to a degree. I guess to another point of your question, it could be in that this is definitely not the case for everybody on reality television, but let's say you're watching The Bachelor, and this is a sentiment that's echoed on The Bachelor a lot. I've never worked on The Bachelor, but this is a sentiment that you hear a lot is this person wasn't here for the right reasons. Not necessarily The Bachelor, but on other reality TV shows. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before.
Yeah.
This person's not here for the right reasons. Now, what does that mean?
What is the code? Break the code for us, Ari. What does that mean?
There's nothing to break. What it means is that there's an ulterior motive. They're promoting their shampoo product that they've started. They're an actress or an actor. They're a model. They're trying to get their face out there.
Okay.
So a lot of the times, reality is not reality. I hate to break the illusion. However, a lot of the times it is. A lot of the times it's maybe a little too real, a little too scary, a little too personal.
Yeah. Because we're a sophisticated audience. Sometimes I can tell, like, you're just ham hocking it up for the camera. And then other times I'm like, oh my God, like, this is so real. Like, you are having a real moment in front of a bazillion cameras and you can never take this back.
Now, I don't know, I can't speak to the field of autism, but the show Love on the Spectrum on Netflix.
Love that show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you've seen. I'm not quite too certain how, and they would call them the cast. Anybody that agrees to be on a reality show, they would call them the cast.
Okay.
Which I think is funny. It's like, a Disneyland employee or an actor in a movie. They're the cast, even though it's still a real person in a real relationship. But I would be curious to think how they feel on camera, how the cast members on Love on the Spectrum would feel about being on camera. That's one question I would love answered that I don't have an answer for.
Well, you will have to co-host with me when we find somebody from Love on the Spectrum and ask them how it feels. This is a continuation segment, clearly. How often are they manufacturing the reality? So if reality is not actually reality, like, what does that look like? Is the producer helping them come up with storyline? Are they suggesting storyline? Like, how does that come to be?
A lot of the times my answer is rather mundane for you. You'd think it would be more, bombastic. Oh, someone like a producer comes in and says like, oh, like on a Big Brother show, so-and-so said this about you, and they start drama. I'm sure that happens. That is not the majority of the case. The majority of the case, when the reality is broken, it's someone like me saying, hey, the camera needs a new battery. We're in the middle of a date scene, and there's two people getting to know each other, and let's say it's a blind date. It's not really a blind date. They probably saw a picture of each other beforehand.
Gotcha. And somebody told them about them.
Right. But in the middle of their date, there's some dude with a neck beard and a pot belly eating a tuna fish sandwich saying, hey, I need a new memory card really quick. I need a new, there are lots of little disruptions that I guarantee must break the flow of a conversation with somebody that you're having a date with, or, just really quick, we need to stop. The lighting's a little weird. We just need to adjust this light over here, or the mic, the audio's not good. We'd have the audio guy come in and he's gonna fix the audio. There's lots of very, very mundane little things that you wouldn't really think about too often that absolutely disrupt the flow of a conversation.
How do you not let that, what you're seeing in front of the camera, impact you? I mean, I'm a therapist. I'm supposed to be trained to put my Teflon shield on and not get all up in it. How do you, if something, emotional is happening, or it's a sad moment, or someone's breaking up, or there's a tragic fight, how does that impact you?
It still impacts me just the same as it would impact you. I think that it's just a lot easier for me because I just make sure that the shot's in focus the whole time. I don't have to be in front of the camera,
Yeah.
My
So,
role is,
I mean, but do you ever I'm just trying to visualize, like, there's a couple and they're having a big blowout and you're just like, hody-do, let me just make
really
sure this shot.
what's happening is I have monitors, I have computer screens set up for the producers to watch the scene as it's happening. Let's say we're watching a really emotional scene. We're watching a couple breakup, something, right?
Right.
We're watching a scene of a real relationship, real people. And let's say they've been together for a while. Let's say they were planning on a life together. We're watching a relationship crumble in front of the camera, in front of our eyes, and we're there in the room.
Yeah.
Right? Very emotional, real stuff. And, it's my job to have monitors set up so that producers can watch this unfold as it unfolds. And yeah, we're all biting our nails. We're all producers pacing, a little bit of sweat on the brow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's real moments like that.
I guess I'm just like, okay, so the scene ends, right? Wherever they decide to end that, and you're supposed to be this impartial party who doesn't break the fourth wall. So no one is talking to this couple. Like, they've just been
Do
like,
our
we've been
best.
together 12
Yeah.
years and we just broke up. And you're like, okay, so anyways, next.
Right now, right. So yeah, we just filmed this incredibly emotional scene. We're inside of their apartment and we have to shuffle out 2 carts of gear and 6 people through their living room and their kitchen past them to leave and finish the day. Yeah. Right. And so in that moment, it's like, keep
Thanks
going,
so
push
much.
push the cart, don't look. That's pretty much how it is. It's a very, don't engage, because that would be highly inappropriate. It'd be very inappropriate for someone in my position, for instance, not a producer. It would be the producer's role at that point to be the pseudo therapist and come in, hey, okay, how are you? Rub the back, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay once the cameras are not rolling and everything. It's
so
their job.
They frown upon you having a reaction to what you just saw, because that seems unprofessional.
Well, it is. Yeah, it's definitely considered unprofessional for anybody in my position as a camera assistant or even a camera operator to interact with emotionally these people who are, there's a lot of, when you watch a show on TLC, a 90 Day Fiance or Discovery Channel show, any of these shows, there is a lot of money to consider being put into this entertainment. And a lot of that rides on the emotions of people who aren't in the film and television industry. So nurturing those relationships and making sure that they are good and ready every time they're on camera is so important. It's stressed every show I've been on, every start of the show, it's stressed immediately what that rule of engagement is, if any. Because a lot of times it's impossible to avoid. You be passing them, you end up in the same elevator. Hey, how are you? Oh, you're that camera assistant guy, aren't you? I'm so-and-so, blah, blah. They stick your hand out to shake your hand.
Yeah, because they're going to engage with you. You've just been hanging out in their living room watching them fall apart.
Right, for 3 months. Right, for 3 months. You know each other. You definitely know each other, but it's incredibly surface level. It has to remain surface level. It has to remain very non-interactive. Otherwise, yeah, you're making yourself part of the show.
Because you're being professional.
Yeah,
Okay.
no one's gonna want to hire you if you're constantly talking to the talent or talking to the cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what makes a good, quote unquote, good couple for a reality show? What are you guys looking for that the audience eats up?
Here's the meat and potato, and it's a great question. Here's the meat and potatoes. It's entertainment. We're dealing with real couples and real relationships, but it's entertainment. It's meant to entertain us. It's meant to be worth that Disney Plus, Netflix premium, $6.99, $9.99, whatever it is a month. It's meant to be worth that. So what does that cost? What does the entertainment cost? Well, sometimes it costs people's emotional state, because let's say you get a couple on a reality show, unnamed reality show X. We don't know what it is. Unnamed reality show X. We bring this couple on. Let's say one of the people in the couple, and the way that you get on these shows, I don't know if you've seen any of the questionnaires that they put out.
No, I've heard about them, but I haven't seen them.
They're really funny. I actually saw a questionnaire for Love is Blind, I think, that my girlfriend pulled up for me because she was just curious. She wanted to see what it was, because at the end of the seasons, they'll put out a little like URL, or they'll put out like a QR thing for you to scan. Hey, you want to be on Love is Blind? You want to find your one true love? Do our questionnaire. Maybe you'll be on the show, kind of thing, right? So you fill out a questionnaire, you get on the show, and yeah, I'm sorry, I forget where I was leading to.
It's okay. You were telling me about like.
Do you repeat the question?
Well, we went into different directions. We just talked about like what makes the good couple, and you said the drama that they bring. I'm recapping, and that sometimes it means the relationship comes to an end.
Right. So if you're gonna make a show and it's gonna be worth that $9.99 premium per month, this is where I was going. The couple has to be entertaining. What does that mean for a couple to be entertaining? Well, it means that they're not healthy.
Probably why I have so many of them as clients. Then that all makes sense now.
Well, we won't get into that. But perhaps it means that there is something, some rift, something in between them, something for the show to turn into entertainment. Because that's what reality TV is at the end of the day. It's entertainment.
Just the couples recognize that that's what keeps them in front of you. And so are you maybe hinting that some of them manufacture that, or they already had that in their relationships and it's just being encouraged and like endorsed to keep going in that direction?
That's an interesting word, encouraged or endorsed, because for instance, if we have a couple on a TV show and the TV show is focusing on their problem, whatever their problem is, let's say the one person wants to have kids and the other person doesn't, right? The producers of the show might set up, as you say, encourage. They might set up a lunch date, but it's not just them on the date. It's going to be one of the person in the couple's parents are going to be there too. And they're going to have lots of opinions on kids and raising kids and whether or not they should have kids together. And so they'll do lots of little crafty things to interject their own ideas as a producer from a producing standpoint, but have someone else do it for them.
Okay. So little agents of havoc.
Yeah.
So you kind of referred a little bit to something I want to talk about and kind of get your thoughts on. It seems as if from the outside world that a lot of relationships break up as a result of being on reality shows. Is that fair, that we can kind of assume that there is a lot of pressure that happens on being in a reality show and that can lead to the demise of the relationship? Or is that something else from your inside view that possibly is making it more difficult to survive being on a reality show?
There's lots of pressures that they're going to be really difficult for you and I to speak to, having not been on a reality show ourselves. Even from behind the camera, I won't know. I won't understand. From the outside looking in, of course, it's easy for me to go, well, sure, probably. Yeah, they don't last. Yeah. But that's just from a viewer perspective.
Right.
If we're
Do you
talking
see
about
it starting to fall apart? I mean, you're with them every day for 13 hours, for 6 days, for a bazillion weeks. Are you seeing the cracks? Are you seeing that start to slowly evolve? Or is it like a minute that you, as my amateur therapist, is like, I'm not sure they're going to make it through this? Like, give me some insight.
It's a slow burn, just like with anybody that you might meet in real life. It's very, very different. They say a story is written 3 times. This is just a writing rule. This is just
Right.
a writing rule. A story is written 3 times. It's written when it's actually pen to paper. It's written when it's filmed, and then it's written when it's edited. Right?
Okay.
So from my perspective, from your and my perspective, watching an edited show, it's really easy for us to be like, oh yeah, they all fail.
Are we editing it to look like it's a fail?
Whatever's entertaining. That's the answer
I
to
get
pretty
it.
much
I
every
get it.
question. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
whatever entertains. So if
Okay.
that means they succeed,
The underdog gets the girl and now he's the hero and they're riding off into the sunset. That if that works, that works. Or if we can set that person up to be a villain and we get just as many viewers, then we're going to go in that direction.
and we're going to bring them back on the next season because that person has a big cult following on the internet. You know, there's lots of
Gotcha.
justifications for any decision that might be made on the story side of one of these reality shows. That's a funny way to put it, the story side.
I get it. Okay. So
Yeah.
here's the big question. You're in a relationship. Have you been impacted by your job or by what you're viewing about relationships? Has it impacted you in your own relationship?
Oh my goodness. Well, as you said before, these are extremely long days.
Yeah.
For any given show, it could be 2 or 3 months, 2, 3, 4 months at a time. And it's probably going to be 5 or 6 days a week, 12-hour days.
Wow. How do you have time for a relationship?
It makes it really difficult, especially when my girlfriend is in the Navy, working 12s on her own as well.
Okay. Wow.
So we do what we can to see each other when we see each other. And I think that's beautiful.
I think that's amazing and that's admirable and so hard to do. And do you learn like things that feel successful watching these other couples so intimately, or does it like make you feel, oh my God, I'm going to do the absolute opposite of that?
This is not something you have to learn. I think this is just something we intuitively know. Don't go on a reality show if you're actually trying to foster a good, healthy relationship.
So we're not going to see the Ari Lerner and family reality show soon, and your
Never,
mom Pamela is going to have to leave the office for a few months to go be on the family Ari show with you.
Yeah, you will not see me stepping into your office with cameras surrounding me, filming my every move. You won't see that. That is the truth. If you're here, if you think, oh man, I've had a really rough time at life and love, and I've been watching the show Love is Blind on Netflix, or I've been watching, you know, whatever it is. I don't care, whatever I've been watching The Bachelor. I think this would just be just my thing. I think I could do this. And maybe I could get my face out there and be a model now.
So you're not aspiring to be in a pod. Got it. Noted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my last question that I ask everybody that comes on the show, there's no right or wrong answer. And I like your vibe. I know it's going to be good, whatever you come up with. What is Ari's like version of commitment? What does commitment mean to you?
Commitment, in a very general sense, it's giving someone your all. There's no other simplistic, quick way to say that. It's giving someone your all. And based on your relationship, that could be different for every relationship. That could be different. Whatever that means, giving it your all, giving that person, and that's in every sense of what I mean. You know, that's emotionally, that's physically, that's spiritually. You have to give someone everything you have. And if everything you have is one afternoon on a Saturday because you've been filming other couples breaking down in front of cameras for 60 hours a week, then that's what that means. If you are a blue collar worker, you're laying down, you're roofing houses for 60 hours a week, and you only have a few moments with your wife and kids, but you're going to make every moment of that count. You're going to go take them to Soak City or Six Flags and have an afternoon with them and take them over to the grandparents' house and have a nice meal with them. Then that's what that means.
I love that. I think that's one of my favorite answers so far. And what I love even more is that you have every opportunity to be jaded by what you do for a job, and you still have this energy and beautiful hope and lightness about you when you talk about commitment. So that is very inspiring to hear, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to spend some time with me. I know you're super busy.
Of course.
If people want to find you and connect with you and give you some love, how would they do it?
You can email me at info@arilerner.com. That's ARILERNER.com. Yeah, I'm always looking for more work. Right now I'm in a nice down period, so I get to spend as much time with my girlfriend and make up for lost time, catch up.
Good. Give her a big hug, and I will tell your mom exactly. She was right. You are a perfect son, just like she keeps telling me.
Okay.
And I really appreciate you spending some time with me. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate talking and you sparing some time to talk with me too. Thank you, Dr. Dana.
Okay, Ari, thanks.
This has been the D-Spot Podcast with Dr. Dana McNeil. To learn more about Dr. Dana's practice, simply visit us at https://danamcneil.com. Simply visit us at www.danamcneil.com.